Asalam-o-Alikum and welcome back. In today's lecture, we will do the mathematical application in economics. There are various rules of differentiation that are used in economics as well. The first one is the constant rule, the second one is the power rule, the third one is the product rule, and the fourth one is the quotient rule. These are the most important, which is used in economics. We will solve all these or try to understand it with the help of the example. The first one is the constant rule. How we will apply the constant rule? For this we need to understand that let C represent the constant, C be a constant. We'll write all these C be a constant. If f is the function of x and it is equals to c, then the derivative or the differentiation of this function is 0. We will write it f dash of x, which is derivative or the differentiation. Let's show the differentiation or differentiation of the constant. When we apply the differentiation on a constant number, the result will be 0. Alternatively, we also write it in this form as well. F dash of x, or we can say d by d of x. And what is the value? Here the value is constant, so we will write it in general form like c. So the answer is 0. We will take another example by applying any digit or any number. If the question is given like find the derivative of the function, let's take in function f of x, which is equals to 8. F of x equals to 8. So what would be the solution? This is just a one step application of the rule. We can write it f dash of x, f dash of x equals to 0, or we can write it d by d of x, d by d of x, and here is the number which is the function and we can write it as it is like 8. So the answer is 0. Now the next one is the power rule. So we will do it in the next slide. The power rule. So for the power rule, we will take let n be a positive integer, let n be a positive integer if f of x equals to x की power n, x की power n, then what would be the answer? F dash of x, f dash of x equals to n, because n is the power, so n into x n minus 1. Alternatively, we may express this rule as d by x into x n, and it is equals to n, which is the power. We will multiply as it is and subtract 1 from the power, so n minus 1. So by applying on any number, we can solve it like f is the function. By applying the power rule on any number, so f is a function of x and it is equals to x की power 10. By applying the power rule, using the power rule with n equals to 10. So n is 10 we obtain f dash of x equals to 10, which is power. We will multiply the power with the x and subtract 1 from the power. So the power is 10, 10 minus 1 is 9. So this is the answer. We can write it as d by dx into x 10. So the answer is 10 x 10 minus 1 is 9. Now the next one is the product rule. Now by applying the product rule on the binomial. So here the function is j dash of x, or we can write it j of x equals to x square plus 2 into 3 of x square minus 5x so find the j dash of x by applying the product rule. So here f of x is, there are two functions in the product rule. Number one is f of x, the second one is g of x. So f of x is f of x equals to x plus 2 x square plus 2 and g of x is g of x 3x square minus 5x. Then f of x, f dash of x are d by df is equals to 2 from the power, we will multiply it with the x, and 2 minus 1, which is 1. And the second derivative of this g of x is g dash of x, g dash of x, which is equals to 3 multiply with the power, which is 2, and subtract from the power 1. So x की power is 1 minus f minus 5, and with that value, which is with the power, which is 1. F of x, and x की power is 1, so we will multiply it with 1, and what is the and subtract the value from the power, which is 1. 1 minus 1, which is 0. So the answer is 6x. If there is cube, let's take it 3x square. So the answer is 9. 9x minus 5. Thus, f dash of x, j dash of x. J is the whole function. So j dash of x equals to f dash of x into g of x plus g dash of x, or we can say derivative of the second function, g dash of x into f of x. So what is the derivative of the f of x, which is 2x? So we will write it 2x. And what is g function? G function is 3x cube so 3x cube minus 5x plus derivative of the g function, which is 9x minus 5, 9 square आएगा, 3 minus 1. So the value is 9x square minus 5 with f of x. So f of x is x square plus 2. So derivative of the function is j dash of x equals to six and x की power 4 minus 10 x की power square x की power 2 और square plus 9x square into x square plus 2 minus 5 x square plus 2 plus 2. So j of dash of x equals to 15 x की power 4 after simplifying the equation. So 15 x की power 4 plus 3 x की power 2 minus 10. This is the product rule. Now the last one is the quotient rule. So for the quotient rule, there are two functions f of x and g of x be differentiable function, then we can write it d by dx f f of x by g of x. So the quotient rule is d by dx, or we can write it f dash of x, or f dash of x into g of x minus g dash of x into f of x. Divided by g of x whole square. G of x whole square. So by applying the quotient rule, if we have the question let f of x is f of x equals to 5x square and g of x is 4x plus 3. 4x plus 3. So f dash of x is f dash of x ten x, because the power is multiplied with the 5 and 2 minus 1 is 1, and the next derivative of the g of x is g dash of x is the first derivative of the function, which is equals to 4 and the constant is 0. So by applying the formula, we can write it f dash of x is 10, x into gx, which is 4x plus 3, gx is 4x plus 3 minus g dash of x, which is 4, and f of x is 5x square. Now g dash of x is 4x plus 3, 4x plus 3, which is whole square. So the answer is 20 x cube x square, sorry, 20x square less 30 x and 4x by 4x plus 3 whole square. So this is the quotient rule.